Kevin Costner has always stood out in Hollywood, not only for his rugged charm and the quiet confidence that made him a box office legend, but for the mystery surrounding his personal life. For decades, people have whispered about the women who walked beside him, those who inspired his roles, and the few who might have come close to claiming his heart. Behind the roles of cowboys, bodyguards, and dreamers lies a man whose romantic life was as cinematic as any of his films. Today, we're counting down 7 women who, in one way or another, shaped the legend of Kevin Costner and perhaps changed him forever. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 7. Courteney Cox. Before the world saw her as Monica Geller on Friends, Courteney Cox was already known for her magnetic smile and the natural ease she brought to every role. When she and Costner met in the mid-1990s, the chemistry was impossible to ignore. Both were riding career highs, Costner coming off Tin Cup and The Bodyguard, Cox rising fast on network television. Insiders from that time recall the pair being spotted at Los Angeles charity galas, laughing like old friends, often leaning in close, lost in conversation. They never confirmed a romance, but those who saw them together said there was a quiet familiarity between them, as if they spoke a private language. Courtney's grounded humor complemented Kevin's reflective nature, and though their paths diverged, their friendship was one of mutual respect. Years later, Cox would call him one of the most sincere people I've met in this business. It was never a headline romance, but perhaps that's why it endured in memory. 6. Jennifer Aniston. At first glance, Kevin Costner and Jennifer Aniston seemed to inhabit different worlds. He was the classic movie star of another era, she the fresh face of a new television generation. Yet when they worked together on the 2005 romantic comedy, rumor has it, something genuine sparked between them, on screen and off. The film revolved around secrets, misunderstandings, and the pull of forbidden attraction, and many on set swore that the script's tension mirrored their real-life rapport. Costner, then in his 50s, played the mysterious figure rumored to be the inspiration for The Graduate. Aniston, in her 30s and newly navigating post-Friends fame, found in him a calm, steady energy. Crew members later admitted they noticed how naturally she deferred to him between takes, seeking his advice, laughing at his quiet jokes. Both dismissed any rumors of romance, but Aniston once said in an interview, "Kevin carries himself like a man who's lived several lives, and you feel safe around that." Whether their bond ever turned romantic, we may never know, but the mutual admiration was unmistakable. 5. Cindy Crawford. The 1990s defined supermodel culture, and Cindy Crawford was its queen. When she and Costner were photographed together at a Malibu fundraiser in the early 90s, tabloids erupted. The pairing of America's quintessential movie hero and its most famous model seemed too perfect to be true. Crawford later admitted they'd spent time together, describing him as kind, curious, and a gentleman through and through. People close to them said they shared long conversations about fame, family, and the strange isolation that comes with both. Crawford, who was then transitioning into television and business ventures, admired Costner's ability to balance stardom with humility. For his part, Kevin seemed drawn to her intellect as much as her beauty. Their connection didn't last long. It wasn't a grand romance, but more of a meeting between two icons at similar crossroads. Years later, they would greet each other warmly at industry events, proof that not every Hollywood story has to end in heartbreak. For Demi Moore. By the time Demi Moore met Kevin Costner, she had already conquered Hollywood with films like Ghost and A Few Good Men. Both actors were at the height of their fame, both had weathered intense public scrutiny, and both understood the price of success. Reports of their connection surfaced in the late 1990s, when they were seen together at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Witnesses described a quiet dinner tucked away from the crowd, filled with laughter, old-fashioned flirting, and easy companionship. Moore later dismissed the speculation, saying they were just two people catching up, but those who knew her hinted that Costner had made a lasting impression. They shared a certain seriousness, a tendency to look inward, to reflect on life beyond the spotlight. In another time or place, their paths might have aligned more closely. Instead, their brief encounter became one more chapter in the book of almost romances that followed Costner throughout his career. 3. Princess Diana. Perhaps the most surprising and bittersweet connection of all was between Kevin Costner and Princess Diana. It began with a simple idea, a sequel to The Bodyguard. After the success of the original film, Costner's studio approached him about a follow-up featuring another global figure, this time not an actress but royalty. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, reportedly introduced Costner to Diana and encouraged the conversation. The princess was intrigued. According to Costner, she was gracious, open, and even a bit nervous about acting. The script, he later revealed, arrived on his desk the day before Diana's fatal accident in 1997. She had told him she was looking forward to reading it. For Costner, the news of her death hit hard, not only as a global tragedy, but as the loss of someone he'd come to admire deeply. She was everything you'd expect, he said years later, elegant, kind, and very funny. Their connection was fleeting, yet profoundly human. A reminder that fame and royalty are fragile shields against fate. 2. Christine Baumgartner. Of all the women in Kevin Costner's life, Christine Baumgartner was the one who seemed to bring him peace. A model and handbag designer, she met Costner in the late 1990s, long after his first marriage had ended. They shared a quiet connection built on patience and understanding. In interviews, Costner often credited Christine for grounding him, saying she helped him rediscover balance after years of relentless career demands. They married in 2004 on his Colorado ranch, surrounded by family and close friends. For nearly 2 decades, they appeared to embody Hollywood's rarest story, a marriage that worked. Their relationship weathered distance, fame, and the scrutiny that comes with being in the public eye. When news of their divorce surfaced in 2023, Costner's silence spoke volumes. He later told a close friend, "Some people leave your life, but they never really leave your heart." Despite their parting, those who know him say Christine remains one of the few who truly understood the man behind the legend. 1. Whitney Houston. And finally, there was Whitney. The world watched their chemistry unfold in The Bodyguard, but what audiences didn't see was the friendship that grew behind the scenes, one built on mutual admiration, respect, and a shared sense of responsibility to their craft. When Costner first approached Whitney to star opposite him, she was hesitant, unsure if she could carry the weight of a major film role. He reassured her, promising to guide her through it, telling her, "You were born for this." On set, their bond deepened. Crew members remembered long conversations between takes, the two of them laughing, sharing stories about faith and family. Costner became a mentor and protector, while Whitney, with her radiant vulnerability, brought out his softer side. After filming ended, their friendship endured despite distance and fame. When Whitney struggled in later years, Costner remained quietly supportive from afar. At her funeral in 2012, his eulogy stunned the world. A raw, emotional tribute that revealed just how deeply he'd cared for her. "Whitney," he said, "you weren't just good enough. You were great." Those words felt like a confession of something unspoken, a love story that never fully unfolded, but never truly ended either. In many ways, Whitney represented what Kevin Costner had been searching for all along. Someone who saw the man behind the myth, who understood both the weight of fame and the yearning for something real. As the years pass, Kevin Costner's romantic history reads like a reflection of his film career. Dramatic, heartfelt, occasionally tragic, always human. Each of these women, from Courtney Cox's friendship to Whitney Houston's lasting bond, revealed a different side of him. The dreamer, the protector, the poet, the man still searching for connection amid the glitter of Hollywood. Behind every camera flash and movie poster, there was a man who loved deeply and lost quietly. And perhaps that's why audiences still respond to him. Not because he's perfect, but because his stories, both on and off screen, remind us that even legends carry fragile hearts.